Soon we will be celebrating Thanksgiving, the time which we set aside each and every year to be with friends and family, give thanks for the blessings which we have received over the course of the year, and sometimes our entire lifetime, eat mounds of turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and other delicacies prepared lovingly. Then, if you're like my mother's family was, you go into the den and everyone falls asleep watching football games on television. Nobody ever actually watched those football games. Bellies full, reclining in overstuffed, appropriately named lazy boy rockers. Each and every year we go through the cycle, remembering our blessings and giving thanks that our lives have not deteriorated, that somewhere in the midst of the normal suffering to which all flesh and spirit are heir, life is still good. We are reminded through the evening news, or on the street, or in our social gatherings, of those whom fate has not blessed recently. Even if we face losses, we might think of the past or find meaning in the present. One of the truly amazing ways of being human is in the capacity to find gratitude, even in loss. Thanksgiving is the last remnant of religion in the broader American culture. Every other holiday seems so secular, with gifts or parties, candy being produced. We struggle in this nation to make Christmas and Easter something other than secular. In our collective understanding, most religious holidays are transformed by the media and the marketplace into something that does not convey the hope of new life or hope from sacrifice, death, and life renewed. Thanksgiving, in its most basic form, calls us to reflect upon our existence, the qualities of our lives that render something worthwhile, and to name them, even if only silently, to ourselves. This is a religious exercise, as it causes us to look at life in the larger sense. If one is inclined to a theological belief system, you might give thanks to a deity or deities. If one is inclined to a less theological belief system, one might give thanks to luck, to systems that gave you opportunity, for some coincidence that gave you possibility. Thanksgiving might also be a remembrance of the change of seasons, a celebration of the harvest. These are the traditional ways to experience Thanksgiving Day: recognition of blessings, sharing time with family or friends, thinking of the passages of seasons and the harvest. Yet every Thanksgiving, I am left a little unsatisfied. It is good to remember one's blessings and to thank the Almighty, knowing that life could always be worse. My dissatisfaction, though, comes not from the actual recognition of blessings and giving thanks. Rather, it is with the nature of Thanksgiving. If all the Thanksgiving season means to us is a pietistic exercise in relation to God or chance, then it is very religious, but nonetheless a limited celebration. That is not how the Apostle Paul writes of Thanksgiving to the Corinthians. Note his words. God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance, so that by always having enough of everything, you may share abundantly in every good work. As it is written, he scatters abroad, he gives to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and increase the harvest of righteousness. You will be enriched in every way for your great generosity, which will produce thanksgiving to God. Paul tells the Corinthians and us that our blessings, that which we give thanks for, are not really ours alone. We are blessed with abundance in order that we might pass on that abundance. Your blessing is not just yours. You have been given it to bless others. It's part of a process, and we have to be aware of that. How might you live out this process? One way is to recognize the blessings you never knew you had. You've all seen the movie, probably, It's a Wonderful Life, in which Jimmy Stewart portrays a man, George Bailey, who receives his wish that he had never been born, and he learns of the impact his life has had on family, friends, town, and nation. After he sees the world without his life, he begins to realize that he brought something important to the lives of many. Despite the fact that he's not a rich architect traveling the world over as he had dreamt of becoming when he was a younger man, he has many blessings, and his life has passed those on. Another way to give thanks is by recognizing that we were given gifts which were not earned, blessings in disguise. Those are not necessarily gifts of money or possessions. Unearned gifts might be something like not falling apart in a crisis, or the feeling of grace in the face of adversity. Gifts might be the love received from someone. When I was in high school, I had a friend, I'll call him Barry, who was very similar to me. We took most of the same classes, pre-college classes. Barry and I sat next to each other in most of the same classes. We made roughly the same grades. He did better in math, and I did better in English and French and German. Yet when we graduated from high school, I went to college. Barry went to the mill. What was the difference? My family had taught me to look at opportunities, that things could happen for me. Barry's family did not tell him that message. Even though he did well in school, he grew up hearing that people like his family did not go to college. There are many Barrys in the world, people who are told that they could not consider many options in life because of their social class, race, ethnicity, or gender, and many other factors as well. When we who have been blessed at an early age, with confidence expressed to us that we could do anything we wanted to do, we are tempted to look at other people and believe they are lazy or lacking in ambition. We cannot know what messages others might have heard in their homes or other places. For some of us, being told that life held possibility was a greatest blessing. Thanksgiving should be about acknowledging, therefore, the gifts of love and encouragement, patience when we were not worthy of it, and time spent with us when someone might have been doing something else. Knowing that we have been blessed impels us to pass on the blessings. It is not for ourselves alone. Thanksgiving is not about counting up blessings or considering how bad things might have been. It's not just about that. If you are truly blessed, then it is also your responsibility to pass that blessing on to others. How does this work? It is according to that for which you are truly grateful. Think about the good elements of your life and think of those who do not share your good fortune. If you're grateful for your home, then advocate for the homeless. If you're thankful for health, then consider what can be done for the ill or the weak. If the bounty of food before you elicits your gratitude, then consider ways to help with our society, our American society that deals with food insecurity. If you've been given a gift of the Spirit, a positive outlook, a personal belief in yourself, then think how you might pass that on to someone else, encouraging someone else to reach his or her own dreams. Teachers try to do that every day, at least the good ones do. Be grateful for what is there, but think also how it might do the greatest good in the present and the future. This is not a linear message today. I've had a cold this week and linear thought escapes me. This is the second point. This season is also a time of traditional cycles. And even though they were not created specifically for this, we have a national cycle that looks kind of like a liturgical cycle in a way. We begin with Thanksgiving Day to take stock of our lives, reflecting on the good and bad in the past year and giving thanks for the good, remembering things that could have been worse. Then we move to the Christmas season, Advent in the liturgical Christian tradition, the Yule season in some pagan traditions, or Hanukkah, or any number of holidays that lead to celebration and lights in the darkest time of year, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. New Year's Day comes, and we take another look at ourselves in view not only of the past year and the gifts we have been given and the gratitude we have, but in hopeful awareness that we should reform ourselves by living a more meaningful or intentional life in the next year. Though this cycle of religious and secular holidays was not established as a religious element necessarily, it still goes in that direction. This cycle in the practice of this time of year is not necessarily intentional, but it does kind of take us to a place. And my third point, Thanksgiving is not about counting the miseries of life, but recounting the good parts of life, which have been and are. One of the ways that I have often lost my way is when I move from problem to problem. Sometimes I solve a problem or win, and I'm so busy thinking about the next hurdle that I fail to notice that something happened that was good, that I succeeded. Maybe you recognize this in yourself, maybe not. The point, though, is that we should not let our problems so burden our spirits that we cannot recognize our blessings and thank God, the universe, or the best in human nature, that in the midst of this challenging, frightening adventure, something went right. As a church, this church, it seems that we move from problem to problem, often without stopping to give thanks or to think, that really happened. Or I'm going to send an email thanking her for her contribution. It's a challenge made more difficult in these circumstances when our only regular gatherings in person are on Sunday mornings. It is always a challenge to recall our gratitude to each other. And we have so much to be grateful for in this congregation. There's so many good things that have been happening. There have been things that are difficult, but there are also things that are wonderful that are happening now. The spreadsheet is laid out. The bills are paid. The ride is provided. Sometimes in the midst of moving from one thing to another, some words of gratitude are lost. It is not that we are not thankful. Rather, we're moving so fast through things that we don't have time to express gratitude in the way that we used to. Part of this is due to technology that does not connect us in the way that being present with each other does or did. Before the pandemic, when all meetings were in person in most of the churches I served, some committee members left and others stayed to talk for a while after a meeting. It seems that at those times, we thanked each other. We talked about the challenges or something that came up in what we were doing or other matters. It seemed, though, that gratitude was a theme of times like those. I remember so many times when I felt that the business of a meeting required movement from one issue to another, and when the meeting was over, turning to someone and expressing thanks for that person's effort for our common good. As we move through this still new way of being together, let us take note of the gifts each person brings. Let us be more intentional about expressing our thanks to each other. Let us also be less humble at times about asking for gratitude. If you need to be thanked, tell us. We want to recognize you. We want to be grateful. Today we have considered that Thanksgiving is about sharing the blessings of our lives. That the journey from gratitude to giving to improving can be the spiritual cycle from Thanksgiving to the new year. That we need to be more intentional about expressing our thanks, and also are welcome to ask for appreciation. Friends, let us remember that life is difficult, full of loss, and let us also consider that even in the darkest hour, a light shines forth if we seek it. May you find that light and give thanks for that which gives meaning. May you be truly grateful.